Hi guys, I have a little mini food prep here and I'm going to voice over it. It's been a long time since I did a voiceover, but I got a new microphone, so anyway, this food prep is a lot of veggie prep and then a few other things. But right now what I'm doing is cleaning up kale, and I strip it off the stems just because these stems were a little bit bigger. And then I tear up the leaves and I wash them. The sink's full of water there. And those stems I'm going to save. I usually run them through my juicer and I usually, add it to other juice. These stems actually got turned into soap. The leaves I'm going to put into this container, and they are so much easier to just throw in a pan and saute when they're already cleaned up. If they're in the bag and haven't been cleaned up, they'll probably stay in the bag. But having them cleaned up like this, I just dump them in a pot with some oil and garlic and just saute them, and they're really delicious. We could eat them every week. Greens every week. We love them. Next, I'm going to clean up some bean sprouts. Now, if you buy bean sprouts, you should probably use them within a day. And if you can't use them the day that you buy them, you should rinse them every single day because they can go bad really quickly. So I just rinse them and strain them in my little salad spinner to get most of the water off. And those are going to go in the fridge. A lot of these vegetables are going to be used for the gado bowl, which I talked about in my meal plan. It turned out really nice. But there's green beans in that as well. So these I'm just washing, and then I'm going to trim off the ends. And there's a couple different ways to trim off the ends. The way my mom taught me was to break them. Just break the tip off where the stem meets the plant. And if you're doing garden fresh, beans, it works really well. But when you buy them store-bought, usually they bend rather than snap. So I cut them, and I usually cut a few at a time just to speed up the process. Now, when I grow my own beans, you better believe that I do one bean at a time and cut the very least amount off. But with these ones, I just, lob off as much as I can to get the end off. And then I cut them in half. Next, I'm going to get some red cabbage ready. This was just a garnish in the green bowl that I made. But it looked like a really essential part, and I love the inside of red cabbage. I think they're so cool. So I just did a little bit of the cabbage. I sliced it up pretty thin. I probably should have sliced it thinner, but this is what I came up with. And so that was about a quarter of it that I used for the gado bowl, and I'm going to put it aside, and the rest I'm just cutting into long chunks, and I'm going to juice this. And purple cabbage or red cabbage juice is so awesome, and it's just so pretty. So I cut it in those long strips so it fits down in the chute of my juicer a little easier. And the cores and everything I juice. And again, I'm going to show you how pretty that is. It's so cool. So that is just going to go in a separate container to juice later in the week. Next, I will clean up some scallions. And I get lots of comments about my cutting board moving around. And I think when it's sped up like this, it looks like it's going all over the place. It probably is. But yeah, I know I'm supposed to put something under my cutting board. So I put some of those on the, some of the scallions are going to go on a tray to use for the gado bowl, and then I just cut up the rest because I'm more prone to use them if they're already cut up, and I throw them in with our green salads and with scrambled eggs and stuff. And then I missed it, but I cut up some cilantro, and then I had some bell peppers. Some of them is going to go in the green bowl, and then the rest of these are ones that I bought a couple weeks ago, and they lasted in the fridge. I had them all washed up, but I left them whole, and they lasted pretty well. They were just starting to get a little shrivelly, so I went ahead and chopped these up, and I'm just going to put them in the freezer. And you can use these for all sorts of cooked applications. So there's the garnish that I made for the gado bowl, and I just put plastic on that and put that in the fridge so it's ready to use. I also put some hard-boiled eggs on the green bowl, which is not in the recipe, but it's, I guess, traditional. In other recipes, it's in there. So if you have a pressure cooker and you haven't tried hard-boiled eggs in the pressure cooker, you better get on that because that is the best way. So I made enough for our dinner, and then I just made a whole dozen. That way I'd have them in the fridge. They came in really handy for snacks and, quick breakfasts and things. And then while the pressure cooker was hot, it still has that same little bit of water underneath that trivet. I went ahead and boiled some potatoes, and I added those to the green bowl as well. Again, not in the original recipe, but I saw it in other recipes and I thought it would help bulk it out a little bit. So there I peeled some of the eggs for that night. The rest I left them in shells because I feel like if you're not going to use them right away, they stay a little better if they're in the shells. And then there's the potatoes cooled off. I packed those up so that I could dice those onto our green bowl. And the last thing I'm going to make is the peanut butter sauce for the green bowl. this recipe, trying this recipe just to get this sauce recipe was worth it. This is so good. I'm going to put this on all sorts of things, just as a salad dressing or on other green bowls. I had it drizzled over the hard-boiled eggs in the grain bowl, and it was good just on that. Like having hard-boiled eggs sliced with this dressing on top was really good. I will link the recipe down below, but it's basically it's peanut butter and soy sauce and lime juice, and then it called for chili sauce. We have this really delicious Thai chili paste that our friend made and gave us, so I didn't put that in because I'm feeding this to children as well, but we could put that on ours as we wanted. So that's the ingredients. It's pretty thick, and then it says to just thin it out with some hot water. So I put probably about a third of a cup of hot water total. I wanted to get this nice and thin. Since this is kind of calorie dense, I wanted to make sure I could use less and it would spread out. So I made it a little bit thinner, but you can see how it is. But it is so delicious. I love that Kirkland peanut butter. If you haven't tried it from Costco, I recommend it. And it really made this sauce delicious. So anyway, that's just the quick food prep. Just a lot of veggie chopping, and I tried out that new camera angle. Hopefully you enjoyed it, found something useful in it, or at least motivation to get in the kitchen and cook something from scratch. Bye!